Better than talking about drivestone walls and flat roofs. Only just
So, welcome everyone. First thing is open session at planning. We've got no one from the public gather,
Nobody's going to touch now.
so we can skip that bit, can't we? Item 77, meetings being recorded. Does anyone wish to do a separate recording?
No.
Item 78, apologies for absence.
We've had no apologies for absence, one resignation.
Okay. Have we all
So just to note
got
that.
that? Item 79, to receive members and officers' personal and disclosable pecuniary interests in items on the agenda. No. Item 80, to consider written requests for new DPI dispensations.
No, there isn't.
Well, it's a good one, isn't it? 81,
The end?
to consider whether items on the agenda should be discussed in a private session. I don't know anything.
I've got no recommendations, no.
Item 82, confirm the minutes of the previous minute. Are we happy to approve those?
Approved.
And have we any matters arising?
Not that I'm aware of. I keep checking in on the progress with the local public inquiry regarding the width of the path at Wolfstones, but I've not seen anything yet, although I haven't checked this week. My apologies for that. I'll keep checking in and report back when it comes through.
Okay. Item 83, Kirklees planning application. So note in the list from 9th of September to 30th of September with our views. We know that. please. Second part, to consider new or amended applications from Kirklees Council in list D. First one I think is our number 3. Wood Cottage on Greenfield Road, which is in Greenbelts. I might have got mistaken here. I have to. The number 1 has already been refused.
Right.
So we want to consider it anyway.
Okay.
It's this one, which is in Home Valley North Ward, and Meltham have already commented on it.
I don't think it's in action.
I would have to double check that.
I mean, it doesn't
We
make,
wouldn't
doesn't
normally
make
be
out.
sent it unless it was within the parish boundary.
So it's perhaps Meltham that's got it wrong.
But
Possibly,
if it's
yeah.
not Valley North, then
Half of Home Valley North is in the parish, half of it is Meltham,
yeah,
the
but
town
but it's
council.
mostly the northern part, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not-
That's right, so yeah, if you look on the map, it's the Hollygrock Holes End.
Anyway,
I suppose it doesn't matter anyway, that we can comment anyway, can't we? It just seems a little bit odd that
yeah.
it was already done so. Okay, does anybody want to kick us off with this one? This is demolishing a garage and building a new one.
Is it the same footprint? It looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I didn't really have an issue with it.
No,
I mean, it's a big garage and still, but I know.
It's similar to what's already there, isn't it? You know, like the existing, what's it, the existing materials of the existing garage, was that like more wooden or like
It matches, you know, what should be there, so yeah.
I don't have any complaints about it.
Are we supporting that one?
I would
support it, yeah. Thank you. Number 4, Wingfield Cliff House Lane. This is a change of use of land to garden.
Has anybody got an opinion?
Well, the application says it's already been
it's
done.
already done, it's already out.
Yeah, they said they've been using it as a garden
Yeah.
since 2020, but then a neighbour has commented something about biodiversity. You know, garden versus it being a field, but it's already been a garden
Grass
for
is,
5 years.
grass is grass, isn't it?
Yeah, I can imagine it might be more biodiverse as a garden than it is a.
All a bit academic, I think. It's already a garden.
Although there is a thing of if you move your domestic curtilage boundary, that then you can build something in your domestic curtilage boundary, which you can't do if it's a field. And
Are you smelling a rat?
Yeah, I am.
It would be very difficult to build on there, where it's really,
It's quite steep from
very
there.
steep down from the way.
Has Kirklees relaxed the rules now on this situation, do we know?
I don't know the
Just
other.
years ago,
You
at
can't.
Tate Edge, a lot of those new properties that were built at Tate Edge had large back gardens. And I do know Margaret Kerr, the enforcement officer, made sure that when they cut the grass, they didn't cut it with a tractor and mowing machine, it had to be done with a lawnmower, because they could say then that it was agricultural land if they did that. I'm talking, what, 20 years ago, but surely those plans will not have been on. I would have thought they'd been on.
This is it.
So this,
So the other way around.
so basically, and I see what you're saying, but when I built my house, they made me build a boundary wall before I could move in to make sure my domestic curtilage was defined from the rest of the farm. So the problem, so I know what you're saying about it doesn't matter how steep it is, but also think about how many houses on the cliff and up Dunford Road are built on a 45-degree angle. All I'm saying is, and I'm not saying I'm objecting to it, all I'm saying is, if we say yes to this, mark my words, we will be discussing this again in 18 months' time, because once it's domestic curtilage, you can do anything you want in your own domestic curtilage.
But turning it around, on what grounds would we say no?
Well, you're not allowed to turn agricultural
They
field
already,
into
they already
domestic.
own it, don't they? It's already
Yeah.
within the domestic.
No, domestic curtilage is completely, I own, so say for example, this is my back doors to my house, and that there is the wall. Past that wall is my farmyard, and there is a field. If I turn that paddock into a garden, because it's just next to, and I still own it, my house, I can then put like a glamping pod on it, I can put an annex on it, because it's domestic curtilage then. So what I'm saying to you is, once it's your garden, once it's domestic curtilage, you can do anything you want with it. If it's classed as agriculture, you can't. So at the moment, I can't put a glamping pod on that paddock, and I can't put a garage on it, can I, Steve? I can only...
Do you want to put a glamping?
No, I don't, well that's not the point. The point is
No.
that once it's
But we
domestic
could
curtilage...
Well, we could support this with the proviso that no structures are allowed within the defined red area of the application.
Yeah. Do you know, so that's what I'm saying, it's like
Well, then we could make it steep, but.
Well, yeah, that's up to Kurt Lee.
Yeah.
it's just that obviously once it's created as domestic curtilage, you can do what you want.
My
I
reflection
mean,
from
I'd have to say, it seems a bit unlikely when it's been a garden for 5 years anyway.
Well, yeah, but you know,
But, I take your point.
well it's not that though, is it? It's like, how many times do we have like certificates of lawfulness, because it's not been a garage for 10 years, it's been a annex.
My reflection though from going delivering stuff there for one purpose or another, it's pretty much a well-established garden.
I'm just going to read from the application here. So, the house originally stood with no rear garden. The property sat protruding into a field. The wall to the rear of the house formed the actual freehold boundary line. The lights within the field were able to walk right up to the wall. In early 2020, the previous owners bought an 11-metre strip of the field from the landowner so that the house had a rear garden. In the summer of 2020, they erected a fence at the 11-metre boundary line and then mowed the grass and used the area as a garden. My family and I have lived there for 5 years. We bought the house in September 2020. Since we moved in, we too have mowed the grass and used the strip of land as a garden, hanging, washing, playing games, blah blah blah. A piece of land and the house, garage, drive and the other areas of the front garden are included under a single threshold title plan. It has recently been brought to my attention that the piece of land, despite being part of a single title plan, may still be classified as agricultural land, and consequently making the full application to request that the use of this land be fully reclassified as a domestic garden. So I get what Joe's right, what she's saying. You can do what you want with it afterwards, but It just seems like they're trying to correct something that was done
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
And probably it's gone, but they could do something later on and do something, but they don't have to look at it at the time.
I
We
suppose,
can't oppose it, I don't think.
no, I suppose they failed to do it properly in the first place.
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, yeah. Or maybe they were
I'm
doing it
not,
sneaky.
all
weren't
I'm saying is, under planning law, you can do what you want with domestic cartilage. I don't care, and I just said I don't care if you pass it, I'm not bothered.
I suggest we support it with a sign and attach a condition that says.
I'm not bothered if you do attach a condition, because they might want the sun around, so all I'm saying is.
No, you've said it now.
Brilliant.
Right.
With a condition that no structures are built within the part of the garden.
Well, we should do that.
No,
Put a shed or a greenhouse or something in there. We should just look at it later on at the time.
Yes.
What would be so bad about doing that?
Let's just support it, there's no
Yeah,
way
like
of-
I said, as soon as you, if they want to put the sun around, so.
Right, I support it.
Not the stress though, you know.
Number 5, Coat Farm, Peninsula Road in Hayedge. Extensions and alterations. It's in Greensboro, but
Yeah.
it seems fairly.
It looks quite big, it's within the curtilage, but that's what the problem is, it's at the back of the property, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's nothing else running around it, so.
And the line
Materials,
falls
all
down
that.
towards it, doesn't it, at the back, so substantially.
Are we all right to support that?
Yeah.
To be honest, we're not right sure on it. Officers at Kirklees will know exactly what the situation is. There will be an officer dealing with this. We need to speak to him, or somebody does, and he'll tell us what the situation is.
Well, no doubt if we've got it wrong, we'll pick it up anyway.
They will say if you get it wrong, you can't, we're getting it wrong.
Number 6 is 40 Oldfield Road. Install solar panels on a detached garage roof. This is in Greenbelt and the conservation area.
Can I say though, that they've approved the garage, the
Yeah.
solar panels in Old Firth, and it's a conservation area.
Yeah.
So I don't really think we've got much, length for that, to be fair. So I think you'll have to approve it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the garage is detached,
The-
and it's a different vintage to
Yeah.
the house.
I think it's a good thing though.
Support it.
Yeah. Support?
Yeah.
Seven now.
Number 8 and number 9 are essentially the same ones.
They're all rubbish, aren't they?
One's a list of buildings application.
What they wanted to do.
This is
So-
Butcher's Arms.
A bit of history about this. It used to be residential above there before,
Mhm.
but then the previous people had bought it about 3 or 4 years ago.
Before that, it was
Just
before
before
COVID, yeah.
Just before COVID, about a year or so before. Roundabouts, it wasn't open for long when that new one. Anyway, they put planning in to convert that residential bit into a full dining space. And now it looks like they're making back into residential part of it and having a large kind of meeting space room in there. It's a bit,
Function room.
function, it's not
It's
that
not
big, but
that big though, it's only about one.
Yeah. It's not huge. So, to be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There's no really, there's a small exterior change to the back garden bit with the new shelter that they're putting in there. But that's kind of secluded and people don't see it anyway.
There's 2 things being raised by the
This is what we're
neighbours.
on about here.
The only comment on there is about,
Change, that's why it's changed.
the only comment is about the extractor fan, which was as part of the previous plan application and not even the current one. So it's not even relevant.
Yeah,
So
there's an enforcement on that extractor fan, which
Yeah,
enforcement
yeah.
is supposed to do something about it, and they haven't done out about it, but that's
Is
not.
it- Can I just say, I was heavily involved with that. The enforcement people tried to enforce it, but the people who owned the pub at the time took absolutely no notice whatsoever
Yeah.
of what the enforcement team wanted. Now it's been resold again, and of course this is the new people that's wanting to do this.
Yeah.
And really, you've got to live outside that pub to know what's going on, because people
It
are
is
getting a little
noisy.
bit fed up with the carry on.
I think the
It's
other,
not-
the other,
it's not
That extractor
relevant.
fan is not part of the plan application, but
It's planning.
it
Yeah,
uses
but
from before.
the thing is, Donald, that they're, and I know what you're saying about the enforcement action, but it's for the enforcement team to do something about, and they just
They've
don't.
been asked times, and they've done nothing.
Then, but they can enforce on that, they can enforce when they please,
Mhm.
do you know what I mean?
I think
So-
the other point that's been raised is one of parking.
Well, that's enforcement jobs that used to do, is they're doing another job now.
But if they are getting rid of dining spaces, which is what they are doing,
Yeah.
then it would reduce down on the amount of people that go there. And parking has been an issue there since 30, 20, 30, 40 years of McDonald's.
So
Like,
since time
it's
began,
always been a problem with
there's
that.
nowhere to park in
So,
They're not getting rid of extra dining places, have they? It's never been used.
No, it has.
I think it has.
Well,
Yeah.
they're saying
Yeah.
it's in the application, they said
What's that
that
mean?
they did it.
I haven't seen it all. It probably wasn't busy enough.
It's not been used, not been used
The
now.
upstairs dining area,
Right.
it has been used, unlawfully.
They did get planning permission for it.
Hmm.
So, anyway, I don't think there's anything we can refuse this application on.
No.
And I don't think there's anything particularly negative about it or bad. So, approve, support local businesses.
I still think, I don't know whether we can make a comment about this extraction farm.
They do need to do something about the extractor farm.
That's,
It's not-
it's
I know it's not part of this
it's not
application.
this
Well, that's
application.
relevant to this application.
And they need to take it up with the enforcement officers.
Well, I've moved that extractor farm, you know, it has been moved.
They did change something with it, didn't they? Yeah.
It has been moved, and I know the old one, there were like a couple of Lancaster bombers taking off on it, weren't there?
Right.
And
Still,
all the people, the neighbours around, they'll complain to me, they complain to the council, and the council did nothing about it at all.
Can we write separately to them about that?
Okay.
That we're supporting otherwise.
yeah.
Right. Thank
It's a
you.
good pub now, actually.
Definition of a good pub.
It's good food.
Number 11, interesting one. Old Biggin Farm in New Mill. Demolish the existing and build a new one.
You know, this lived up to expectations. When I looked at the plans and I saw, first one I saw was golf simulator as part of it, and games room, I thought, yeah. I thought when someone's demolishing a farm and they're building something new, it's going to be amazing, isn't it? You know, it's going to be some kind of crazy modern building.
I was disappointed with it, I thought it was an opportunity to build something really interesting, and it's just a pastiche again, yeah, it's got interesting stuff in it, but I mean, the existing building is a bit messy, it's a bit saggy down here and there. And this is the same footprint, isn't it, as the existing one? And it was turned down before, didn't it? It went to appeal, but I just think it's a war of attrition in a way, this one, and I think we probably just got to support it. I don't think there's any reason not to, really.
I am sort of disappointed with it, but I think the new NPPF has really, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
No,
They're gonna get
just
it.
got to support it, let them enjoy
Grit your
their
teeth and
golf
support it.
simulator.
I can't say, I mean, looking at it, I just think the existing looks nicer than the
Where
one.
is it? Is it on way to me?
Oh, it's one.
They know it's a design that will get it
It's
through.
one of those.
And being a contentious modern building.
It's like undistinguished,
Oh, it's a good
inoffensive,
building.
boring kind of building, and it could have been something really exciting, but it isn't.
I do think this isn't what was intended when they changed the NPPF to open up the green belt. This is hardly a low cost, affordable home, is it?
No.
No.
Just open the door for more.
Yeah, it's.
But we can't do anything
Does
about
it
it.
fit with the green credentials and that?
Yeah, it's a
there's a
passive
Yes,
house.
it's passive.
So it's low energy.
It's got
It's got solar panels and heat pump and all that.
ground source heating, so yeah.
Yes, well,
Good.
that's welcome.
Yeah?
Okay, is this
It's
responsible
through
for the-
gritted teeth. Probably. What have we got to? 17 and 18 again, the same, essentially the same one. Sands Farm at Netherthorne. Change of use of a barn to a dwelling. Another one.
Where are we used to be?
Where do we used to
It's
live?
a
No,
big building they
farm
created.
used to
Could have made two decent sized houses instead of, it's 5 bedrooms, isn't it?
Again, I think the legislation's just allowing them to do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's changed use, so there's nothing you can do.
It wouldn't have got through before December
Yeah.
last year, but now it can. And again, I'm sure this isn't what they intended from the new NPPF.
No.
What's
thing
this one,
is
a
though,
5 bedroom?
You can't, you can't then build another agricultural building and do it again. So you can only do it once, can't you? Do you know what I mean? And then someone might come along and turn it into a 3-bedroom, 2-bed annex, might they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Might turn it back into a cowshed.
Mine. I'd like to say that my cowshed's got new cows in it, so it will be staying as a cowshed.
One thing I would say is climate change statement, I thought was quite poor. There's no solar, no air source heating.
I think this is an opportunity missed again, isn't it? I would
Yeah.
like more on climate change installations, with that heat pumps and so on.
Yeah.
There's really no mention, is it, apart from the
Yeah.
feeble
Can we
climate
refuse
change
it on them?
statement?
Can we refuse it on them grounds?
No.
I
I
mean,
don't think
having previously
No.
discussed the house which was,
Yeah.
the new house which was going to be passive,
Mm.
this one is
Yeah.
just,
You can't, 'cause it's just,
It's
that's
just-
the legislation.
I mean, that climate change statement is only,
Nice to
well, it's
have.
advice, isn't it? It's not
We
mandated.
never did it more or anything like that. Well, I suppose the other you see was the new road that solar panels and things like
I
that.
mean, we can
Well, they
make a
can't
point.
do that though, can they, because the grid can't take it. My friend lives in a housing estate in Rotherham, where they've all got solar panels built into the roof, but they're not connected because the grid can't take the capacity from the new estate. So work that one out.
We need to improve the infrastructure, don't we?
Well, it's-
No. Fair enough.
like the car park.
We can comment on that, they can't we?
Just
I think-
support
that,
maybe
With
just express
reservations.
regret that
yeah, poor climate change.
opportunity's been missed.
Number 20, Dover Lane in Holmfirth. Extension to a detached garage.
Yeah.
But we're going to remove an old concrete one, so
Yeah.
I thought,
It's revealed things. Support it.
support it.
three-car family.
And the last one is, at last, one in the Peak District, Peak Park, 6 Mere Hill Road.
I'll leave that one when we get to the Peak District bit. The next item.
Yeah,
Alright.
do we have to?
No, you won't. Very nice, you're right.
Can we do it now?
Yeah, if everybody agrees.
I mean, it's just internal alterations anyway,
Yeah.
minor ups of things, it's. I couldn't see anything there that could, make us oppose it.
Tiny house, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. It's just opposite the kids' play area, isn't it?
It looks fine to me. I mean, maybe defer to the Peak District National Park officers, because it's,
I mean, if this had been in Kirklees, we would have done anyway, wouldn't we? We would have said,
yeah.
we'd defer to the listed
We
buildings.
were looking at
It's a
whether
listed
we were.
building officer.
Is it listed though even? Or is it just National Park we're looking at?
It's listed,
It's listed, right.
but it's in the national park, so.
Oh, sure, if it listed. My grandma used to live in the house above that one.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's all about 10 years ago, something like that, a bit more. But yeah, so when I saw the plans, I was like, is it Granny's house? And I thought, it's the one below. Yeah.
Are we happy to support?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll defer.
Okay, where have we got to then? Country's plan applications, we just considered the new ones, haven't we? So number 3, we're going to note the notification of the sealed order for the diversion of Holmfirth 6 public right of way at 70 Acre Farm. Noted. This is one we looked at only the week, isn't it?
Yeah, so I looked through about 10 times and finally worked out that what they were asking to do was consultation last time. This is to let us know, but we can still object.
Oh, right, okay. But we
Well,
decided we
we
weren't going
didn't
to.
object anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, we noted it. And we're noting the notice of public inquiry regarding the diversion of footpath 6 days, but the date is pending yet. So that's
Noted.
an interesting one coming up.
Yeah.
And then to consider any further action. I think we have at this point, haven't we? We decide Gemma's going to represent it.
She will do, and when we've got the date through, I will let you all know. And the outcome of the other inquiry that
Yeah.
happened in July.
Yes. Okay, item 84, Peak District National Park. No new applications from the last one. We've just considered the only one from this time. And the last part is Councillor Blacker to report on attendance at Peak Parishes Day on the 11th of October. Over to you.
Right, well, because neither Councillor Whitelaw nor Councillor Osborne were able to go to this day, I went instead, and I found it really interesting, because obviously the context of the national park is different from that of Kirklees. I mean, the most obvious difference really is that the Peak District National Park is not a housing, it's not a housing authority at all. It's interesting that it has a very clear directive about what it's supposed to be doing, which is it will conserve and enhance the national beauty, wildlife and cultural heritage. And then there's a duty in law to foster social and economic well-being of communities. But it's very clear when there's an irreconcilable conflict between the kind of environmental responsibilities and the responsibilities to communities. It's the conservation takes priority. So it has it operates with this really clear directive. It is suffering. I tend to think that they are relatively well off, but it is actually suffering from a lack of a fairly substantial reduction in income from central government, which is going to lead to some staff losses. They said between 13 and 14 losses of staff. So they are in a difficult position. I just want to say something about the local plan review process. They are in some way in advance of Kirklees with this, but then they are in a different context, so that might explain it. You might remember we responded to their first consultation on the local plan, which is called the Issues and Options Consultation.
Sent us a huge amount of bump in the post about it.
Is that the new?
This is coming the last couple of weeks.
Okay, thanks. So the Issues and Options was about a year ago, and we responded to that, and said that, and I hope this is true, that the second consultation is called the Preferred Approaches Consultation, which is what those documents are. So
These are two copies of the same
they were being
thing, possibly.
sent out.
Oh,
on
no,
It says preferred.
No, that one is preferred, that one is the sustainability appraisal report.
Yeah.
Essentially. There's lots of reading for
Yeah.
some of it.
So they are very keen on planning. Parish councils responding. They may run online. They might be running online sessions to let people know what's happening. We can respond by email. We can respond online. I feel that we should reply. We should respond. But the deadline. We haven't got very much time, have we?
21st of December.
Yeah, the end of December. So yeah, but I feel we ought to put ourselves in a situation where we can actually respond.
I think having done the first part.
Yes, having done the first one, it would seem sensible to respond to this second part, wouldn't it really? So they're putting out a second consultation, which Kirklees Council have decided that they can't do. The National Park Authority seems much less troubled about waiting for documents to come from central government, which has been the hold up for things for Kirklees. But as I say, they're in a different situation, so it's not exactly parallel. But then we go back, so their draft local plan is going to be out for consultation in the summer, and then we're back to the same timetable as Kirklees, which is submission of the final submission to central government before the deadline of December 26th. So that's where we are. So I think you agree, it would be good for us to get together a group to respond to that.
Mm.
It worked fairly effectively last time, I thought, so we could perhaps adopt the same approach. On the parishes day, we had the morning with somebody talked about housing, and then the afternoon they talked to us about transport. They're looking at strategic provision, a 20-year look. I picked up there's quite a lot of tension between the Peak District National Park Authority and surrounding local authorities who are housing authorities, because their feeling is that the Peak District's having to try and pick up some of the slack from the neighbouring housing authorities, so a bit of friction there really. And interesting that a quarter of the houses that are going to be built are going to be a quarter of the houses will be new build and 3/4 will be conversions or evictions on brownfield sites. The housing market, I mean, if you think the housing market's in trouble here, it's definitely in trouble in the Peak District National Park, because the cost is just phenomenal really. And it's not possible, even if the authority give grants, it's not possible for developers. The 100% affordable housing is not viable. The authority has come up with a way of calculating how many houses are needed, which is not the standard approach, and they're having to now substantiate, give evidence to prove why they should work on a lower. They can work on a lower figure. So what I thought was interesting. The afternoon was transport, and I thought it was quite interesting that they said that on travel and transport, quite a few of the existing policies will not be changed. So their new local plan, it seems to be quite a large part of travel and transport will be the same as in the existing one. They have to somehow cope with mayoral authorities, because mayoral authorities, I think, I can't remember the name of the mayoral authority, but mayoral authorities are coming as well, so they're going to have to work out how to work with the mayoral authorities too. Parking, as we know, is a tremendous issue, and they would like to work with local authorities outside the national park to divert tourists away from the honeypot. I remember that coming through in the initial constitution, away from the honeypots. But the final thing was kind of aspirational, and I thought it was really positive, that they feel the local plan's going to set a context, so it's about aspirations for future, not just a set of instructions to their planning officers about. So I haven't had, I've only had the briefest to look at the new. Have you had a look? I know I'm just.
No, I
I'm
haven't.
just.
I didn't realise it was out.
Yeah. So yeah, it was an interesting day. It was interesting to meet other parish councillors. Some of them are obviously far more active. There's a large number of parish councils as well. So yeah, it was definitely worth going. And obviously 1/3 of our area is in the Peak District National Park, but nothing like 1/3 of our population has got it.
A lot of sheep
Apart from
over
the
there.
sheep, yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks for that then.
Yeah.
So I guess the action here is, firstly, do we want to respond to this second consultation? Which I think we should. Is it something we agree we should be doing?
Yeah.
And following from that, who's going to do it? What was the group that looked at it before then? Can we
It
just...
was you and I can't remember who.
No, I can't remember who else it was. Could we regroup and just
Could we, yeah.
do it that way?
Just the three of you.
Was there only 3 of us? I can't remember. Oh, come on.
I'll have a note
We find it.
Was Pat in it?
It's somewhere.
I can't remember. Was Pat
I mean,
in
it would be quite useful to have the
Yeah.
same people. wouldn't it?
Okay, so reconvene previous group.
I suspect that Sarah Whitelaw and you will maybe sort out some kind of session in home to discuss it with residents. I mean, I think that one of the officers came to speak last time, but I don't know where the initiative. It might have been from the Home Residents Association.
Okay.
But I'll have a note of who did what last time.
I'm not that
And you
somewhere.
probably got one as well.
Yeah.
But having done it once and kind of got used to the layout of that, I assume that layout is pretty much the same as the last one. Makes sense first.
I mean, it was a big document last time, but actually it was quite well laid out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't-
We commented on most of the areas.
Have we just got, can we get this online?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it is on.
Yeah, so let's
We
Yeah,
don't
that's
need
true.
another copy or anything.
Yeah, I
so-
managed to track it then. When in fact I downloaded it.
I put the link into the papers, but I didn't,
Yeah.
obviously, I didn't put the whole thing in because everyone was.
Okay.
So you want to reconvene a previous group and discuss with residents to shape a response? Sounds that?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 85, traffic calming. Sort of splits into two parts, I suppose. The first part being the road seats. I'll deal with the easy one first. I asked the Home Valley South and North Kirklees councillors to see where they would like these seats positioning within their ward. Not had too much feedback, but Councillor Reeves came back and suggested with the Home Valley North one that we actually just alternate it between two places, both outside Honley High School. So one going up, one coming down. So
One side to the other and swapping it around.
we'll just keep swapping it around.
I think that's a good idea.
And in the absence of anything else, it's as good as anything, I think. Does that make sense?
I'm happy for that, that's where the
Yeah.
accident happens, isn't it, really, on that area?
And you know, if someone comes forward with another suggestion, we can always add it in later, can't we?
It's where there's the most pedestrian activity in Honley, isn't it? In Honley
Yeah.
North, I'd say.
Yeah, because the Honley Town Centre's got those police speed bumps, like
Yeah.
sleeping policemen, so it's not
It's a
really.
trade.
And it's got 20-mile-an-hour limits as well.
It's not,
And then Brockles has got the speed cameras going up and down there. And yeah, I think that's the main reason why we got it for, isn't it?
So the Home Valley South one, Councillor Trupp replied to that. I mean, this is slightly different in that we'd already identified 5 of the 8 places for it. From early discussions, I've added another 3 on, so that's all sort of, from our point of view, deciding where we want them. Councillor Crooks pointed out that it's not up to us, it's up to the Home Valley South councillors. So-
Well,
Yeah.
right, so we have a Home Valley South councillor.
It's the group of 3 of them apparently need to decide, need to agree. Tom,
Well, we pay for one of them though, so they should probably listen to where we want them to go.
I would have thought so.
And that one is still on Sheffield Road. It was
I know.
yesterday when I drove past it, and it's been there for about a year.
Yeah.
It lose the point of being there when they've been there for so long. And I really even thought that would be a main priority for us to put one there. No one's ever mentioned to me about having one there. I get it that people do drive too fast and on that road and go down to New Mill, so there is the point for it being there, but it don't need to be there for a year. Hopefully we can.
I feel disappointed by the whole thing in that they're not moving it, they're not moving it to where we want it, and we're not getting any feedback.
We're not getting value for money.
Can I suggest you take it up with Damien and he takes it up with Highways?
Yes, I was going to, my thoughts were to go back to the 3 of them again and say, look, we've got the list,
Can
are you
we,
going to approve it or not?
can we ask for them back?
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
can we ask
asking
for
for the
the
money back.
Yeah, can we ask for the money back? If we can't decide,
Well, I think right from the beginning, it's been clear that that it would be the ward
Yes.
councillors who would decide where they would go, and we can't have a special little programme just for ours, and it would have to be part of the larger programme. But they would listen, which I think is what Monk said, you know, we'll listen to where we want it to go. I think they're not moving them, is you know, I think that is I think that's a bad thing. But I think we could just continue to suggest places to go. We can't demand our own
No,
programme.
I don't think we can do
So,
that.
but we can keep
I
suggesting
think we can say,
places.
look, here's a list,
Yeah.
either adopt it
Here's
or
a list,
or
and
suggest
please
something
can,
different.
and please can you move them? I guess it's probably shortage of staff, the reason they're not being moved. But it would be quite interesting to see a schedule of where they've got, if we could.
I'll ask for that.
if you can
Well,
ask
can
for
I
a
just say,
schedule of where
councillor,
they
if it's a shortage of staff, they've had a shortage of staff for the last 30 years. Because they've never got off their backside to move any of these seats. There were three of us, and we used to suggest places to put them. They put them where they wanted to put them, not where the local district councils wanted to put them. And we also fed back from the parish council as well. They put in suggestions, but they never got put. And the ones that did get put were left there for 2 years, some of them. They nearly fell off poles to be there that long.
I think yours not so bad.
Tom,
Well, first, they actually seem to be doing it properly, didn't they? We got the one on New Mill Road, and then about 3 months later, that one got moved, and then it's got stuck up by Merehouse Terrace. I was trying to think what you call it there. It's not Jackson Bridge, and it's not Bull, it's in between.
that
It
was
is
one
on
of
the
the-
right.
Merehouse, but it's been
Yeah,
Merehouse. It's been there for donkeys.
I'm not
And,
under
and,
that.
and like Mo and them lot, right? Like, they can't argue about that. It should stay there for the whole year, and that they want it to be there that length of time. There's a reason why it hasn't been moved, and
Well, there will be
is
a
it
reason.
staffing or something like that? Anyway, can we just go back to them and say we don't think we don't think it's getting best usage just being there all the
It
time.
isn't, no, it isn't.
And I've worded that very politely.
Yeah, because the thing is, you've got to go round loads of cars to get to that bloody SID anyway, so it's pointless. really,
No,
isn't it?
the people who speed up after they get past the terrace
Mm.
and that, and it's going downhill as well, so I do get it, but it don't need to be there a year. It could have been there like a couple of months, 2 or 3 months, and then moved to one of our other
Well, you just
locations.
ask
I think I'd like to do two things, and firstly say, look, we've developed a schedule, if you don't like it, then tell us what you do want, but let us know, and secondly, can you move the
Can we tell them that their current schedule that they do have is crap?
I think
and
we
the
could
feedback.
suggest a list
We've
of
never had
places.
any feedback
Yeah.
from when it was first on New Mill Road.
To be honest, I'm not too bothered about the feedback. I'm more bothered about actually moving them in different locations. Like, that's the most important thing, isn't it? Getting around the valley and.
So I think again, it's writing back to them, and the three of them, and
Okay. You wanna do that, or am I doing that?
I can draft something if you like.
Alright.
Can I suggest that you draft the list, give them a draft schedule,
I've
and
done that.
ask them for reasons why?
So what is
Or
our
what the
schedule?
schedule is.
So what is our schedule? Where else do we want them? Because I think we've kind of, we've run out of.
One of them was Scoresmore Road, wasn't it? Scoresmore Road, coming into
There's
Scholes.
The three I've added,
There is one there.
They've got one
There is one there.
at
Is it?
the western end of Stolesmore
The
Road.
three I've added.
But after that, it's all metal posts with no
Well,
lamp
no,
posts.
it's not, there is a lamp post, because someone's taken 6 foot of wall out down Scoresmore Road, and a ditch. So they've come down that road so fast, they've wiped a wall out the length of this table with a car, and ended up on its roof. And it's because it's got a strange camber, that road, and if you go down that road on a wet night and hit a puddle, you will aquaplane into the hole, which is exactly what happened. But there is a pole further down on the same side the existing ones are. There's a lamp post.
Just going back to Mary's question, we had our original
Yeah,
five.
we did, I just can't remember.
The three I've added to it, one is in Headage, one was coming down into Holmfirth from New Mill, which I think came from Danian.
Yeah, and then Victoria, we asked for license far up to Victoria.
Can't do that, there's no lamp post.
Uh,
But I have been on trying to get, it's a slight digression, but there are three speed indicating devices at the Victoria Crossroads. You mentioned
yeah,
that.
that are all
They don't
solar
work.
powered.
They don't work though. So
No,
I got
because
onto
the
Barnsley
fans-
Council,
The fans have blown.
who said they're not ours, they're Kirklees. So
They
now
are.
back to,
They are Kirklees.
now back to Kirklees to try and find out if they'll repair them.
So what's happened is it's got that window that the turbines on top of them blew off. That's what
I
happened.
know it's.
And the thing is that you used to ride past them on horse and you used to go clunk like that all the time. So it's a good job that my horses are really good because they are really
Anyway,
noisy.
the point about
There's a
the,
national speed limit up there, isn't there? Yeah. It is,
Yeah.
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 But it is a dangerous crossroads that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. I drive, when I go to work, I go past there.
the point is that there aren't
That's
any
good.
lampposts that we could use for our seat, so to speak.
Yeah, so to fix the whizzy
Fix the ones
turbines.
that are there. So yes, there are 8 identified, and I can share that list.
But is that bit in the, is the crossroads in the Barnsley area? Because it is when you go past the sign, don't you? It tells you when you're going into Barnsley when you're at Kirklees.
The crossroads is the
I
boundary.
think the crossroads is the
middle,
boundary.
The middle of that
Goes
crossroads.
down the middle of the road, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so my house is in Kirklees, Alex Hemsley's house is in Barnsley. The Victoria
So part of
is
it is, yeah.
Sorry, pub is in.
The old Vic was in Barnsley.
Towards
Your
the,
cop is in.
towards these
I should know the
devices,
answer to this question. It is my wall, shouldn't I?
towards these devices are actually
Woodroyd Road
Barnsley.
is in Barnsley, is in Kirklees. Bedingham Road belongs to Barnsley.
Well, many years ago, you know, I don't know about now, because we don't get much snow. But when we did get snow, Barnsley used to do it one year, but then they used to plough our side coming back, and then the year after it was our turn to do it, bedding edge and ploughing back on the side, and it worked quite well, but I said, we haven't had that much snow anyway over the years to see whether that still carries on, but you're quite right, bedding edge road is Barnsley.
So it's got no
Anyway,
potholes in it.
from this, I think what we're saying is, I'll write to Humberley South Councillors anyway,
So it's bare bones.
and look at this and see what we can.
Right.
Okay.
Got them as far as Cartworth.
The second part of this, is what? Oh, we talked about the 20-mile-an-hour zones around schools and how we might contribute to that. We've been trying to get hold of someone in Kirklees to come and talk to us, haven't we, now?
I had to say, I
Just what the programme is. Now, unfortunately, the lady that used to do it has passed away.
Have you got a contact? 'Cause I've got an Iris contact.
I've got 2 that you gave me, but neither have responded. I am assuming that they emailed addresses all right because I didn't get a bounce back.
It
But I
was,
haven't had a
it
chance
was
to.
Liz Twitchett, wasn't it?
It was, and you gave me 2 others whose names escape me off the top of my head, who I have been in touch with, but I've not heard anything. However, I haven't chased it up because it's been a busy month.
So I don't think there's anything more to say on that at the
If
moment.
you've got any others, councillor Lawler,
Depending
I'm
on
quite
what
happy to
they-
join those as well.
Depending on what they say and intend doing, we might be able to contribute in some way towards that programme.
Contribute or pay for it, some signs or.
Could be anything, couldn't it? Might be just contributing in the form of prioritising schools.
I'm all for it, but I don't know if we should pay for it or not.
We don't have to decide now.
Yeah.
Like the guitarist.
It'd be good to know what the progress is on that, because they were looking at all schools, weren't they? Started in North Kirklees, and where's that got to?
Okay, so
On this one.
May have been one of them.
Oh, he replies that you have to be stern,
who's that?
definitely.
Maybe that wasn't there.
Okay, item 86, ongoing highways campaigns, green lanes, byways, etc. The ongoing campaigns of ransom lunch is getting down. I have had some information back from this. I asked Councillor Riley if she could try and find out what's happening. She's not got back to me yet. But Will Acorn, they did. Will Acorn is the officer who's in charge of this. What?
He's like an acorn, he takes ages like an oak tree. Go on.
His reply said that he's trying to arrange a meeting with the objector to resolve the issues and avoid judicial review. And he's hoping for early November.
Well, can I
Meanwhile,
come
we're in
on
early
this one,
November.
Mr. Chairman, because I had this brought to me in 2017,
Yeah.
all about those, there was the road down past Bankside Farm,
Yeah.
there was the windmill lane at the top, and of course there was the roads around Shawthorns and around Meltham House cottages, which the people, and Ibank Farm, Mr. and Mrs. Stewlis, and at Farbank Farm as well, Stephen, I can't remember his last name, but they all complained about 4x4s, quad bikes, the lot, going on there. I used to go up at least 3 times a week, and they just used to insult everybody, these guys. The lady they used to insult most of all, unfortunately, she died some years ago, but we never got any sense. I actually got Andy Leader, he didn't work for Kirklees, he worked for the footpath settlement in Lancashire. He was ex-Kirklees, and I've got to say, he helped me a great deal. But like everybody else, we got absolutely nowhere with it. Ramsden, you're on about Ramsden Road, that came to this council 10 years ago because of the people using it and breaking gates down, knocking walls down to get the quad bikes in. It's just gone on forever, and all we get from it is, ongoing highways campaigns, including Green Lanes and Crome Valley, ongoing.
Yeah, but what we're saying is that the Mr. Acorn, who takes his time like an oak tree, is saying that Andy Leader again is threatening.
No, not Andy Leader, I believe it's Glass. This is the Green Lane Association.
Oh, it's really, they must have stared all this, we're on every magazine you can think of.
If I rewind to April, I went to the cabinet meeting where they decided that they were going to instigate TRO on all of these lanes that
To
we've just
stop
been
it.
talking about, to stop
And then
it.
the car at the house now.
And now, we said at the time, are you sure you've done all the consultation you should have done? But they were adamant they had. But Glass have come forward and challenged it, and it turns out they haven't done any consultation.
Well, we know they haven't, because they didn't consultate with anybody.
No,
But the thing is, Mr. Chairman, most of these 4x4s are old discoveries, they're neither insured, nor are they taxed or anything, we know that. We've proved that on many occasions and just got a load of abuse from these people. The quad bikes, they're neither insured nor are they licensed, they're the same. What happens if they knock somebody down then? As they're walkers, because walkers use these roads,
we've
and they're
now,
entitled to do so.
we've now got them motorbikes mainly going through the car park and up the footpath to get onto the road.
Well, the
They
motocross bikes.
knock the wall down, keep going back up,
Considerable,
keep going
sorry.
back down again. And it just seems to go on.
Just go on forever.
The
Nobody
problem,
actually jumps up and says, this is what we're
yeah,
going to
but
do.
the problem is that when you've got the blind leading the blind at Kirklees, and they don't, we told them that they had not followed the proper process. We told them that we hadn't been consulted with. We told them that we hadn't been made aware of anything. And they tell you that they're doing stuff, and you just can't believe the sodding word they say, to be quite honest. And then we're in that situation, aren't we, where no offence
I'd just like to raise it, please, can we just be careful with our language in a public session?
I just think that they don't do what they're supposed to do, and then we're here explaining to people why their lives are miserable.
To put it politely, it's frustrating.
Well, nothing to
And
say then.
I live
Anyway, I have my say, they'll do what they want, that's what they'll do. And we'll be sitting here in 10 years from now, if we're all here, discussing the
I
same
think what's
thing.
happened is they won't avoid having to go to court, or the only way they'll avoid it is by washing down the TRO and saying, okay, we'll let motorbikes and 4x4s access it on weekends or something. I suspect that's where it'll go.
Well, this, you go so and then you just have to give up. on it.
It's very frustrating.
Nobody's listening, I'm sorry, nobody's
You know,
listening.
they've
Yeah,
just
but
spent,
it's because they don't do a proper
they've just spent
consultation.
£300,000 resurfacing Ramsden Road, and they're up there every weekend wrecking it.
Yeah, but the problem is when you don't do it properly in the first place,
Right.
what do you expect?
I think,
Anyway,
I think
move
it's one
on.
of those things that whatever you do and whatever laws and whatever things you do put in place, they'll still try and find a way around it and carry on doing it anyway because these people don't care, unfortunately.
They will, but if they put a TRO in place, it then
Properly.
becomes illegal.
Mm.
So if anybody accesses closed road, then immediately their motorbike, their vehicle could be.
So there used to be a videotape on YouTube,
I mean,
and if you went on YouTube, you could have a trip round with these
Yeah.
people in the distros,
they still can.
down all these roads.
Yeah, but the problem is that they only have to do the consultation properly. It won't hard.
Well, it's a third go at it and they've got it all right.
Okay.
Says a lot, doesn't it? Next.
So I shall keep chipping away. Let's see what we get.
Well, good luck.
You can
Thank
be
you.
a trial.
Item 87, planning policy guidance and consultation, no updates.
Nothing major this time, no.
Item 88, the design code. My colleague, Councillor Ramsey,
We've,
myself, we had a meeting.
we've met, drawn up a sort of,
We've
well,
narrowed
we've
the
refined the
down.
list, haven't we?
I think to a more manageable number, and I will put that together and let you have that.
Okay, great.
I think the next step is dividing it up essentially into groups that councillors can deliver these things to. And clearly we need to put them in envelopes and with them as well.
You're welcome to use the space for an envelope stuffing session. If you let me know how many, I'll
Yeah.
do some.
I'll get the list together and
Great.
we'll go from there.
Um,
My intention is that for the next full council, we'll be ready to go and say, here's the default position, everybody needs to hand out 10 of these or whatever it is.
That will be
That'll be
December, won't it?
Yes.
Is that-
I think we should be able to do it by then.
I spoke to
Sorry.
Donna about the grant situation in Meltham, and she said there is a council approved grant process in Meltham for supporting design codes of the shops.
And I guess there's nothing to stop people putting in a grant request here, does there? We don't exclude it.
It's, well, we do, don't we, because we don't give grants at the moment to
private
businesses.
Ah,
I think you're supposed to have a
Yes.
different
I think we
grant
have to,
We'll
yeah.
have to have a-
yes,
It has
can
to,
I-
it has to be a separate scheme.
There isn't,
isn't it?
that's what I said, there is a separate scheme at Meltham.
It have to be a separate scheme.
Perhaps that's something we can raise at the next grants working group.
Maybe look, see if Donna's got a copy of her.
I have seen it, it's on their website.
Uh,
It's a limited fund, I think it's
Yeah,
only
it's
like a
just
couple every year or something, isn't it?
That's
And
what's
when the
like in
money's gone,
March.
it's gone.
It's like, it's like showing willing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Only needs to be a little bit, doesn't it? Doesn't need to be.
it'd sit well on a long list, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
For sure.
Maybe it's something we can just bring up for the next meeting.
I think the next
Yeah.
grants working group
Yeah.
meeting,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Anything else to add to that, Steve?
Don't think so.
One for the town centre group. Councillors to report on updates received. Don't think I've had anything.
There's been the regular sessions at the library, I think, for updates, but I don't think I've seen anything that's come out of those.
Anyone else received anything?
Yeah.
I seem to have stopped with the town centre meetings that I used to go to, so not getting anything there either. Okay,
Actually, I do have an update. Just thinking about it.
on finally.
So, last weekend there was supposed to be, there was a bit of a protest, I don't know if anybody noticed, Nigel Turnbull's Wales in the Third Town Centre. And that was to, take up the area outside Kay's to relay the flags. But it was actually a miscommunication and it wasn't anything to do with anybody and they weren't even supposed to be planning the work. And someone had just decided to do the work without following the correct process. So there was a lot of hoo-ha over nothing, and it was just a miscommunication. That's my update.
And
Storm issue.
Well, actually, Damien and I got the blame for it. We know what to do with us. We don't know about it, but you know, we'll take one for the team.
You got broad shoulders.
I just thought I don't care. I just said idiots. Right, yeah. So
Thank you very much.
that's the update. So they're now not pulling it up,
Wow.
although they do acknowledge that it's not level and it doesn't look right. But it's staying where it is.
Oh, what are you on about now?
Item 19, neighbourhood development plan, councillor Ransby to report.
I was hoping to bring a report, well, have this on the agenda, hand delivered, but just before I went to a meeting this afternoon, I got a message saying, we've emailed you, we finished it. So, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, so it will be on the next committee. I'm sorry about that. I did ask for it for last week,
But it's ready.
but anyway, it's arrived in my email.
Okay, item 91, section 106 funding. Interesting one, yes.
There's a lot of money.
To note the most recent Kirklees Council infrastructure funding statement published in December of last year shows that as of 31st of March 2024, approximately £9.06 million is sat in their account somewhere, isn't it? Blah, 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 blah. The next annual statement is expected to be published in December 2025. Councillor Baker to report. I don't know whether you wish to.
It's probably more like Andy.
I mean, this was raised first, wasn't it? Get my brain working, the working group.
The reference to it on the lot.
You know, there's a considerable sum of money sat in S106, seemingly going nowhere. Actually, when you look at the reports, it covers the whole of Kirklees at 9.06 million. Our bits, probably significantly less. And I think for me, the problem is that it's virtually a year out of date. Tom, go on, yes.
Isn't it all allocated for projects as well?
Yeah, you know.
Like normally, like when they do that, them houses that they're building on the Station Road,
Yeah,
like they'll probably put like a lot of that money towards the highways improvements and things like that, and some money will go towards school work and stuff like that. So it looks like a big amount of money, but a lot of it sometimes, like when you say you portion it out to every ward, and when a lot of it's already allocated for other things, it's kind of just waiting to be spent, isn't it? I think.
sometimes it does tend to just sit there.
Okay.
They have a legal obligation to spend it within a time frame after the development, yeah. But it has to be spent on the reason that the 106 is
Or
there.
give it back.
Yeah, they never give it back.
There's quite a lot of it is allocated to schools, and there's an issue about falling roads in schools. Anyway, schools don't really need it. So the cynical amongst you might think that the developers suggest it goes to something which that you know is never going to be needed and it will be handed back. I think some training out of Paris Council training I went on suggested that the time to get in is at the beginning really. I mean it's too late with the development of Woodhead Road and between Brocklands and Woodhead Road now. But there is the Gin Lane development and suggesting that we should work with local residents to ask them what they would like the money to be spent on.
So I, in an alternative life, might look at development opportunities across, out of Home Valley. And I'm looking at something in a neighbouring parish that is in Kirklees. And we are looking at building for 37 houses on an old site that's somewhat of a challenging brown area, and it's near a school, and the school's not got a lot of pupils in it. But school doesn't need any money, it needs more pupils. So we are in negotiations with Kirklees about what they want us to use the 106 money for, and that's what we're in pre-application advice for. So maybe it's worth putting a list of things to Kirklees to say, if you're building in our area, we as Home First Parish Council would like 106 money towards this, because then when we go to a pre-app advice, we would say, we obviously got to contribute 106 money, what would you like us to contribute it towards?
They asked us for our feedback about this now, because 18 years in the parish council planning committee,
Yeah.
I've never been asked about it in my life, and it was always, went through, Donald might be able to answer this better, it was always the ward councillors who pretty much agreed what the money was going to be spent on, probably working with the Kirklees officers for the 106, is that right?
Yeah.
So like, is it even worth us discussing this, if it's just maybe the ward councillors doing it with the
I think,
Kirklees officers?
I think Mary's point was that, Gin Lane's probably a good example. We know that there's a development that's likely to get planning permission at some point, and it will have S106 money attached to it. You know, we could be talking to the people that it will affect and saying, what would you like to see out of this? Would you like more footpaths? Would you like?
And that's not a bad
We
thing.
have to work
They've already
with,
quite expensive on the junction at the bottom, haven't they?
No, but what I'm saying is, as somebody who
Yeah.
develops property in an area,
Mm.
I would go to the council and say, I don't want to do what you're asking me to do. I will increase my 106 money to not have to do that. So where do you want your 106 money to go? I don't think that's I don't think what Mary's suggesting is a bad thing. I think we should put a wish list together.
yeah, and I mean, you have to work through the Kirklees councillors, but this topic, as it were, it originated with Adrian Barraclough from Riverhawk Connections, who is a pretty active member of the reference group, and it was he who brought the document, he drew attention to that document, and then as I say, I heard this once in this training that I did, that some parish councils are doing this, that they're talking to residents, before things have got really firmed up. But we'd have to work through Kirklees,
So would we do that then on a development by development basis? So we see that there's a 50 house development coming up,
Yeah.
and we'd latch on to
Like,
that.
just get
Well, contact the public, ask the public for suggestions.
residents.
Like
Yeah.
they go on the local
Yeah.
Facebook page and say, you got any suggestions and all this and that. I think it's good because we never have been asked about it before. And like you say, there might have been stuff where there's been spent on things which might not have been the best use of the money. Like you say about the schools. Saying that though, in the schools, they're always asking for more money for things and trying to do
I
fundraising
know
and
that
stuff.
106 money is really specific, so
It's
it
for
could
school
be.
places usually.
It's usually like, for example, at Hoyland Swain, it was for a play area to be re-tarmac,
Yeah, yeah.
so that soft tarmac, which they then laid really unevenly. So
Right.
then had to come and relay it again. So like the developer will put in minimal effort to make, so you just got to be a bit
I think
careful.
Adrian's point was, I think he's suggesting that there's money there that potentially you could get hold of.
Yeah.
Where perhaps what was suggested is no longer appropriate,
Yeah,
and therefore they may be able to
you're not allowed to repurpose it, it's a legal written agreement, that's the problem. It is a legal agreement between the developer and the council. So like in this instance where I'm looking at a development somewhere else, we in the pre-app advice have said, do you want us to widen the road? Do you want us to put more drains in? Do you want us to put a play area in? Do you want us to?
So, I mean, the other parties,
Well, that'll be legally
when
binding.
the new list comes out in
Yeah.
December,
It's a bit old.
is it worth us trawling through that and identifying our bits and saying, can we have an update on what you're doing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because or can we, or you say you can't repurpose it. What happens to it then? Does it ever get spent on
Give them back.
Obviously, give back.
Yeah.
But you can ask the developer if they will let you repurpose it.
Well, yeah, that seems logical to me.
You are allowed to do that, they have to agree.
It's worth trawling through that.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to know, a list of the items for our parish area, when, which developments they're linked to. So like if they're about 5 years ago and it was to do with this and there's some money left over or whatever, then we can kind of know which ones we can repurpose rather than the ones which are still
Yeah.
ongoing.
That is all in the report, it goes through each development.
So
Right.
you just have to go through the development
It's
and
just
say,
fine.
Donald, you built these houses on Leeds Road, we haven't used the money for this, we've still got some money left, do you mind if we use it for something else?
I mean, the one that always rings a bell with me is Aid Edge, where that was getting close to the point of giving the money back, wasn't it?
Well, in my view, they should have given money back.
Built with
I mean, with the Gin Lane development, I mean, there were 30 odd people turned up, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There were only 3 of us there, and yeah, so I don't know whether they're a cohesive group or if.
The problem is though, you don't want to give them the impression that
No.
it's gonna walk over the line, what you're saying is,
No.
if they decide to do
Yeah.
this, then what?
Yeah, what would you
Assuming that it
What
gets
would
Best case
permission.
scenario.
Yeah.
Assuming it gets the permission, that's the point. at which
Yeah.
You need to talk to them, innit?
Because you don't want them to think that we're going, oh well, you know, we're getting a nice shiny new junction or some traffic lights, so we're quite happy for it to go over the line.
So I guess there's sort of 2 points there, isn't there? One is, when we get the new list, and
I'll put it into the next meeting, which will be January.
the other point was this idea of talking to residents on new developments that come up.
Can I suggest that when
Gin
you
Lane
get
is
the
the
list,
only one I can think of, I know.
you could distribute it faster, and then we've got some ideas for the meeting.
Is that Brockhouse or? Yeah.
Yeah, so to
Yeah,
get,
yeah.
what, the list?
Yeah, as soon as Gemma gets the list, distribute the list. To all councillors,
Yeah,
Yes.
Well, it goes to all councils at the moment.
yeah, to all, and ask all councillors at full council to look at the list, identify things that are in their ward, and take responsibility for it.
I think that one said that it was published, it was the end of December, so I will expect
Yeah.
it sort of around about Christmas, but I'll.
Yeah, but we can discuss it at full council.
see, what I don't know, Gemma, is that although it's dated December 2024, it might not come out until March.
That's true. I will keep a check on it.
Are you saying?
I think there's probably a way of
accountancy
signing up to alerts or something.
Expediting it.
Okay,
Very good point, that.
I thought it was an interesting subject on that. 1993, commercial refuge
Oh, yeah, I know what
storage
this
in
is.
Holmfirth Town Centre.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, this raised its head again because we've had a letter from a member of the public making a complaint, I guess, about the commercial waste bin that's outside that cheese shop.
And it's next to a bench, and then in the public phone box, there's some tables and chairs that shouldn't be there.
I mean, I would lump it with a similar sort of thing on Hollowgate, which we've never resolved.
Yeah, but there's a bin space underneath.
There's 18 bins outside Hollowgate, and there's only space for 8 in the new car park.
Yeah, but that's just
So,
for them to sort
we're a
out.
bit of a mismatch.
Well,
But
that's
the bin outside the cheese shop, there is a bin
they should be,
storage underneath.
yeah.
So there's no excuse. They could just literally leave the bin open and throw it over the wall into the bin.
Is this an issue for Kirklees enforcement then, should we say to them that, or highways even, it's obstructing the highway?
It is obstructing the highway, and it's also next to a public bench. Who wants to sit next to a commercial bin stinking of rotten food?
It seemed,
So,
go on.
as an aside, we had a visitor, just after I sent these papers out last week, from the guy that manages the commercial waste from Kirklees in Over. He just happened to pop in because he wanted to find out who owned the planter that was outside the cheese shop, because they were trying to move some stuff around and make it a bit better. I think he was talking about the probability of some things getting screened off down there. They also said that they were looking at the kind of wider picture of how all of the commercial waste is managed. He did say that not all of it is Kirklees. I think what the issue around the not enough bins for the amount of space is something that they're looking at sharing some of those bins and doing more
Yeah.
frequent collections, which seems like a decent solution to me. But he did give me his card and he said that we can drop him a line if we've got questions.
The problem is that some of the people in Homefirth don't pay Kirklees to empty their bins,
Yeah.
which is what he'll have said to you.
Yeah.
Some of the people in Homefirth pay a cheaper company to
Biffa.
empty their bins. No, not Biffa, another one. It's quite, I think there's about 3 or 4.
Yes.
But basically, isn't the fact that the bin's not empty, it's the fact that where that bin is not suitable. It needs moving.
I think when you look at the bigger picture in Old Firth, there's always going to be a problem in there. With narrow roads, there's nowhere to put these things. There are more and more establishments now gone to food. So, for instance, the old Barclays Bank probably didn't need a bin. Now they do. Where did they put it? The cheese shop was a building society, probably didn't need a bin. So, there's always going to be a bit of a problem, I think. One thought has been, and this is something I think the Business Association is doing, is this sharing of bins.
Yeah, they've come up with that together, yeah.
So, you know, that's useful. Another thought was, could some of these be screened? Some people do this with their own bins, don't they? You'll find that, you know, you have a bin area and you screen it off somehow. So if you can't get rid of it, at least you could hide it a bit.
Yeah, but she has got all the bins behind where that bin does belong.
I'm talking about generally
Right.
rather than specifically. I mean, and again, I wondered if it's something that through the grants we might consider helping people to screen the bins, so at least make it look better.
I think that they need the bins to be emptied more often, really. And like being on that business group chat, you listen to what they've got to say, and they're always arguing among themselves about who's filling the bins. So I think they've got to sort that out themselves, really. I don't think it's the council's job to herd cats. I think it's their job to get to a certain point, and then for us to deal with it when they've got to the point of reasonable
I mean, for me,
progress.
I would still like to see more than 8 bins in the new car park.
Absolutely.
We know there
I
are.
think it should be a Kirklees enforcement, really. And
Yeah.
if we see people doing things that we're not really happy with, or the public see that, report it to Kirklees enforcement, and then they pick up and deal with it. And like I said, we can't really
No,
like
we
it,
can't.
but like if they're not breaking any rules or doing anything particularly wrong, it's what can you do about it?
I mean, that situation, I do know that they are having conversations at local council level about bins, because it is a bone of contentment with everybody. I think that Councillor Dixon's right, we need to enforce on that and ask enforcement to pick up on it. Because having rats run across the street in the middle of the day is not a good thing.
And you shouldn't have bins blocking highways. That's my big thing. You shouldn't have the bins blocking the highways. That's like Kirklees land. They should have it on like a separate bit or further away ground or somewhere. You should find somewhere to put them.
They've got somewhere, they just don't want to walk, Tom.
Well, it's lazy. They can do it. Shift the bins.
Have they stopped parking the car on there now?
No, there's 2 parking spaces underneath where it says,
No, on the
Park.
pavement.
oh yeah, police came for that.
Well, that's what I mean.
That's because they had to cross the highway to park the car there.
So where do we go with this?
Kirklees enforcement.
I would forward the email to Kirklees enforcement,
Okay.
and they pick it up. It's not a parish council job to.
No,
We can add more weight to the residents' issues, and I sympathise with the residents about this. I agree with them, but like, it's for Kirklees to pick up enforcement, and if we can give a bit more weight to it, then fair enough.
Is there any merit in trying to push them to provide more bin space in the new car park?
Well, yeah, but she's not going to walk round.
No, not for her. I'm not.
Oh yeah,
that
well, we've
was
already
holiday.
raised, that's been raised.
That plan's already been done and raised, and people.
Honestly, it's already
Other
been
people are
raised.
picking that up.
It- they are looking at it. I'm not
Oh.
saying, yeah, they are looking at it. I think the
Okay.
ear has been bent enough that they are.
Yeah, it's been,
It has, honestly, Steve telling me.
a lot of heads have been hit on brick walls.
So it's just a cheese lady then.
Yeah, right. So, you want me to put forward and go back to the resident to let them know what I've done.
Yeah.
I'm happy
Yeah,
with that
yes,
if you want.
If you copy Damien in, he's got a lot of enforcement ones going on at the moment, I'm sure he'll love that, Paddy.
There's next to nothing to do, has it? So.
No, you know what to do now.
Do we know how many enforcement officers we've got at Kirklees now?
Two, one's off pregnant, one's off sick.
Oh, there you go. There's your answer.
I know.
That gets done.
Item
Can't be
nine,
pregnant or sick for
We
a
used to have 6 at one time, you know.
Yeah, let's not win it that bit.
Yeah, before austerity, but anyway, let's move on.
item 94.
Yeah.
Planning Committee and Application Subcommittee 6-month review. We're to do a 6-month review on our subcommittee. This is where we meet by Zoom.
I think it's alright.
I like it.
Keep on going.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
prefer it.
I think so far so
It's
good,
all-
but we've only had two. Probably a little bit early to be definitive about it, isn't it? But
I don't think it's doing anything, and it's working. It's alright. We're still getting through the planning applications. The meeting cycle's better, less meetings and things, and I think we're still being productive and getting things done.
And we're not,
So the
and we're
committee's
not
working.
burning carbon, driving down here.
Well, I think people know my view is that I don't think you should be looking at any planning applications, so except those that come up through the large ones. The subcommittee's working fine, but I do think at some point we need to re-look at the planning committee and its remit. I mean, there are some, and perhaps it's maybe it's name, because there are some quite large issues that this committee is dealing with, and they're not just to do with planning applications. It's got a much wider remit, really.
It's not called planning in all councils, sometimes it's
No,
planning
I
and
think-
development, sometimes
yeah.
it's environment, sometimes it's, it has different names.
Because
Well,
the
there
other committees that remain have got pretty large agendas anyway, so I don't think shuffling off some of these larger issues to the other committees is probably not a
Totally agree.
sensible thing to do.
but at this point, we're happy with doing with that
Yeah, I
subcommittee.
think, well, I think that the.
Yeah,
okay. Yes.
I would.
once I can figure out how to connect.
Yeah. We'll go through that ahead of time
We'll
next
practice.
time. The other thing to mention on this, as it's sort of Zoom related, is that there are still consultations ongoing about, and recommendations have recently gone in about remote meetings and dispensations for remote meetings, or whether to allow some committees meetings to be held remotely as well. I think the various different NALC and YLCA and then organisations like that have been pushing for more opportunity for virtual meetings off the back of COVID, because obviously that happened then, and because we've got across the sector there are a lot of councillors that have maybe mobility problems, and they, getting down here can be more difficult. You're saving a bit of carbon if you do, like you say, if you're doing it on Zoom. So there is a bit of a push for that. I think possibly we might see it in the next couple of years as something that is allowed. And it might end up being hybrid, which will be tricky to manage in this room. We might have to invest in some more kit. Some people here, some people on a big screen, yeah.
Yeah, we do that in the NHS all the time.
Yeah, I think it's common practice in business, very much so.
But like, you mean people being able to work hybrid from home, which is one of the things that people wouldn't be able to do that before.
Yeah.
And there would be some, I think it'd be much more inclusive, wouldn't it? 'Cause people
Yeah, because sometimes I'm not being funny, but sometimes it's really busy. Like life is busy, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
and like sometimes, like, it could be sometimes like where you might get snowed in, Joe, where you are, and you might not be able to get to a meeting.
It's
whereas
more
some
likely
people
that I'll
do.
be bloody lying or waiting for a vet or someone's died, more
I
likely.
mean, there's other things.
As long as it's not a kid, we'll be alright.
Family life and other stuff like that. Or people might have health issues and might not be able to physically get down, like knee replacements or something like that. But you could do it from home, couldn't you? So it's progress. It's good.
I think in the previous council there were a lot of, by the end of the term, quite a few councillors were on dispensation for health that would have been able to attend had it been a virtual meeting.
Actually, saying that one thing was my dad, so probably it's a bad thing if you actually agree with it. I can say that, I can do it, Dad. You don't have to look at YouTube, so you're not watching this.
Well, he might if we tell him.
Okay, moving on. 95, Planning Standing Committee expenditure against budget and EMRs. So we're noting the spend.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Is there anything we need to talk about there? It's as it was, isn't it?
no, it's fine.
So we're still £2,470 remaining, which is, I would
I
suggest,
suppose
unlikely
the
to
only thing
spend.
that might be worth saying, you know, because the actual, the local plan working group kind of got spun off, didn't it, to full council, so I did wonder whether, I mean, I can't remember whether we discussed it when that decision was made about wiring money to a pot for their use.
What via that money?
What via, because you put in £1,000 essentially, didn't you? That was you said we should have an extra 1,000 for the local plan when we agreed budget last year. I mean, it's spinning off that 1,000
Well,
potentially.
won't it still come off this meeting, because it's our budget, won't we just go, yeah, we'll spend it?
No, it's got the full
Well,
council.
it's
now.
council now.
But it's
so
still planning budget, isn't it, and it was earmarked for that, so surely it's
No,
just.
but the point is, if the remit is spun off, then I would suggest that money should perhaps be spun off as well.
It's up, I can't remember if I'm wrong there, but I think it's unlikely to be spent this financial year anyway, isn't it?
Oh, very unlikely, it'll be, yeah.
So this money we're talking about
Yeah,
won't serve any purpose this year,
yeah,
and
okay.
I would suggest
We put it back in.
what we
earmarked
talked about
and
earlier,
put it
that
back
we
in budget.
put it back into the
Sure.
funds.
Sure,
Mm.
yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, we're aiming for January for a second response to Kirk Lees, but I think we won't want multiple copies of that. It'll be later on, I think, when we're responding to the final draft of the
Yeah.
local plan, we'll read it, so.
and is the working group going to make recommendations about money that it wants budget-wise for the local plan?
We've not got that far, have we?
Well, that's, obviously we're in that season, aren't we, so,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I don't like doing it, but you sort of, you know that you're going to want something, but you don't know how much.
You know,
Mm.
And I know you shouldn't allocate money that you've no plan for, so to speak.
Well,
But
perhaps back to what we were saying before the meeting, perhaps that is a way of spinning the money into an earmark reserve if you've not spent it, you know. You know, but when we did the financial regulations thing, we did say if there was money left and it was for a project, that you could spin it. If there was no project, you couldn't spin it, you had to go back to general reserve, but there is a project, isn't there? We know what the project is, so I don't think they would have a way of arguing against that particularly, that if you spun the £2,470.
well, assuming that's what's left at year end, then we just.
Yeah, we might go off on a bender for tea next week, don't we? Right.
So, shall we do that? We'll
Yeah.
move that
Yes,
to an
yeah.
EMR. And then that will be accessed from full council anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So then moving on to,
Is that to move that now, or does that?
Year end.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
because it may change, I mean, it might extend.
Yeah.
To 100 votes, mightn't it? Moving on to item 96 then, this is the budget and EMRs for the next financial year.
Which we just talked about.
No, we've just been talking about this financial year.
Right.
So what we have to do now is get our heads around what money we want in the budget for the planning committee. And I'll be quite honest and say, I can't think of anything.
Well, it depends if you're thinking about your,
If we do shop front,
shop frontage stuff,
But
you
that
might need something.
yeah.
So like, if you were gonna donate,
would that come out of grants anyway?
well, it'd come out of grants, but it'd be under planning, wouldn't it? It'd be like a planning project thing, so would it be a grant that planning committee?
Would it be a grant or would it be a scheme that we do? Because we
Yeah.
talked about doing some of these clean up the bin areas as well and stuff like that.
So if you're.
And is that something that we could like have a budget for and to,
I wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah.
So sort of.
What I was thinking was, if for example, you were doing 2 shops a year, and each shop could bid for £500 towards their shop front, that'd be £1,000. It's not a massive amount of money, but it's enough to redesign-ish your shop front.
Yeah.
So if we said next year we'd quite like £1,000 to trial this shop front thing, how would you feel about that?
Yeah.
Over that, I haven't got any need, I don't think, for anything in planning.
So just thinking this through, we would deal with that not through grants and we deal with it through planning.
Yeah, I mean,
So there's no need to talk to the grants,
no, no,
working group
Keep
at
it
all.
completely
no, I
separate.
don't think so, no.
No, I think it should be
that's
completely
fine, that's
separate.
fine.
Yeah,
I mean, you would have to change your, you know, your terms of reference, I think, the scheme of delegation, because you're not a grant giving committee, like finance is, service provision is, it will say that in their terms, so.
But it's not really it's not really a grant, it's like a scheme, isn't it? It's like a,
It's splitting hairs.
You're playing with words now,
it's
Well, no, 'cause
like a town improvement thing.
We have to change the wording, because at the moment grants can't be given to private or money making.
Well, that's,
So,
no, that's not true, that's not true, I mean, you know, I think Gemma made this point, because of Jen having this general power of competence, she can, you know, the parish council can do anything that a private person can, and a private person could give money to a business, so it's kind of,
but not under the current
That is-
grant regs, but so.
So, a
well,
suggestion then
if
is
that's,
that
if that's wider than
Yeah.
the financial regs, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, our own rules that we alter, that they
Yeah.
not me,
I
but.
think it would be a good
Does
idea
anyone
to
have to
keep
change
Yeah.
it?
keep this scheme completely separate
Yeah, I
from
think
the
so.
rest of it.
Right, so
Because
the-
it's a very different beast.
Leave it alone.
Yeah, I think ultimately the Christmas tree stuff, I think that's separate to
Yes,
the
it's
grants.
really, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's very
Well,
uncomfortable.
Melton Council do it, so we just need to see what Melton Council do.
So, the suggestion is that we put £1,000 in the budget for next year for that purpose. And then perhaps at the next proper planning meeting, maybe have a look at Melton's scheme and whether we adopt something very much like it.
I mean, you've got, I mean, that money wouldn't kick in until April, so
No.
you'd have a year to work out the details and the regs around it, and then trial it. So that definitely gives you longer though. You don't have to leap into action straight away.
Yeah, it kicks in April.
26.
But you don't have to spend it until the end of March 27 if you don't.
No,
So you've got a good long run at it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we don't want to get bored, Jen.
Fair.
spend it all by June.
Is there any money needed for like the neighbourhood development plan review, anything like that?
No.
I would think not this
No.
next financial year,
No.
because it has to be done after the Kirklees has redone its local plan to make sure then the neighbourhood development plan fits with the local plan, so it would be the follow-up.
I think the neighbourhood development plan review won't take place really until 27, 28.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything identifiable at the moment on traffic calming or anything like that. I'm sort of struggling to see what we want to put in the budget anyway. Beyond that £1,000 we've talked about.
Okay.
We don't have to decide today though, we might think of something else.
You do have to decide today.
Yeah.
I mean, not that the council can't change their minds or can't go against your recommendation.
I mean, to be honest, it's small numbers on this committee.
Is there always worth getting some contingency in there, like, because occasionally I agree that we've had public meetings in the past and I've done room hire and things like that. I'm just thinking if it's just like £1,000 for shop fronts and nothing else in there, if anything else comes up, we're pretty much having to
We'll just be doing one shop.
move it around from somewhere else, and then it's a bit.
It's sort of frowned upon, I know, isn't it? But
That's what general reserves is for, yeah. General reserves is for your contingency.
Great,
I do
general
understand-
reserves.
I do understand what someone's saying.
I do, there's a part of me wants to say, let's put £1,000 on one side, just
Yeah,
in
let's
case.
not, we
but
don't need
No,
it.
that's fine.
if we can, I mean, if something arises,
Then we go to general reserve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
There you go, we're giving you two summit back and we're potentially not spending a grand. It'll be fine.
Okay,
Are you all agreed just £1,000 for a shopfront grants trial?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have we thought about how this grant trial's going to work?
No, we ain't got that far yet.
Yeah.
Got a year to
I'm
figure
just
it
checking
out.
because I know I missed the last, we might have
We
missed the
need
last
to
meeting.
We haven't thought about that far.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll worry about that later.
I
That's
think,
fine.
from the officer's perspective, I think we'd quite like to have a chat with Meltham, an opportunity to sit down with some of them and listen to what they're doing differently or the same, and the problems they're having and so on and so forth. So I think it's a
We
positive
should
thing.
talk to them.
it has a lot of merit though, doesn't it, that, you know, we're actually putting something back into the
Yeah.
town centres.
Yeah,
And it isn't just on first, by the way, is it?
I
It
think
could be
it's a
on
good
there.
thing.
Yeah, it could be online, it could be
Yeah.
one shop in each area.
that's a good idea, yeah.
And, you know, it's something that we're doing to support businesses, isn't it, which they're crying out for.
Yeah.
So it ticks a lot of boxes, I think.
As long as they do what we're asking. As long as it's the right colour scheme, the right text font, the right
We've got a
design.
leaflet now.
We got a leaflet.
Yeah, exactly, that's right. It'll look good though, it looks good in Harbour, it looks good.
Okay, moving on. Last item 97, publicising the work of the Holme Valley Parish Council. Assistant Clerk to update on planned activity.
I'll put out the information about the Peak District local plan review, and they've sent me a couple of posters, so I'll put those up. As we know, we've got a vacancy as of today, so there will be a 2-week period in which an election can be called, and then there will be a period in the run up to the election in which we have sort of reduced publicity if there was an election called.
Okay.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Rich, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
How did it go with all
Just
the
so I know.
There was nobody, no objections with it, as far as I know, they just now.
Knackered that.
Andy's probably not as last.
Yeah.
He was,